Good morning, Flosstube. I am Tamara. I am PT Stitcher here on YouTube and over on Instagram. This is my channel about cross stitch and a little bit of life thrown in at the end usually. I am coming to you this morning. It is Sunday, February 5th, and it is again a not so sunny Sunday morning here in South Carolina. It seems to be the theme for 2023 is every weekend has been rainy. I hope this ends. I'm tired of rain. We've had a lot of rain this past week. For those of you who are new, welcome. Stick around. I hope that if you see something you like that you'll hit the subscribe button and continue to join me. I usually film a Flosstube every other week unless life gets in the way, and then it might be 3 weeks, maybe 4. But for the most part, it's been every other week. If you are returning, welcome back. I adore my returning friends. I love catching up with you in the comments. I am woefully behind in watching Flosstubes. I'm over a week and a half behind. Kind of weird this way. I don't know. Maybe I'm not weird. Maybe other people do it the same way, but this is how I do it. I have my subscriptions, and I go through and I go to the subscribe button in YouTube, and I go to the last one I've watched, and then I watch the next most recent. So I'm working my way back up to the most recent, but I'm about a week and a half behind. So I'm sorry for my friends who I've not caught up with you. I'm really sorry. I'm trying. But it has been crazy busy here. I will get into more of that in the life section at the end. But watching Flosstube and even stitching time has been a little bit lowered in the last couple of weeks. So what do we have today? We have 0 finishes because who am I? I've not had a finish yet in 2023. I'm hoping that I'll have several by the end of 2023, but you know what? It's early. We still have several more months to go. I have works in progress, or otherwise known as WIPs, for those of you who are new to cross-stitch lingo or Flosstube lingo. I have several of those to show or share. I have January wrap-up because this is my first Flosstube since January ended. So I'm going to give you some numbers. If you're not into numbers, you can skip that part, I guess. But I like being able to see, like, tracking my stitches and things like that. I do count my stitches. I know a lot of people don't. I do. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. Or like the last few days makes me feel like, wow, I haven't done much of anything today. Stitching wise. I did a lot of things, but not stitching. And then some plans and life stuff at the end. I'll let you know when we're done with the cross-stitchy stuff, so if you want to scoot out before life stuff, you're welcome to. So let's start with WIPs. The first one is my work and travel project. So I don't get a lot of stitching time at work lately. Work has been busy. So for those of you who are new or don't know or don't remember, I am an office assistant for our city's athletics department. And basically what that means is I do a lot of the paperworky stuff. And in the last 2 weeks, we have had our youth recreation soccer registration end. Our baseball, softball, and track and field registration began for youth. Our adult softball league registration began. Our soccer program, our youth soccer program, had their skills day. Well, they were supposed to have their skills day yesterday, and it got canceled due to the weather, but the coaches still had their draft, so I had to be at that. So I haven't had a lot of time to stitch at work. However, I've had a lot of time to stitch traveling. I'm not really traveling. It is. I'm not sitting at home, but it's my piece I take with me. So I took it to my daughter's wrestling match last weekend. And so this is the office. This is what it will look like when it's done. This is where it was the last time I showed you. And here is what I've done. So I've finished all of Dunder Mifflin. Please ignore my very bad peeling fingernails. I need to change them out. And then I've started the big tuna. And I don't think I had the little bobblehead started last time either. I can't focus on one motif. I start something, and then this one kind of got boring, so I moved down here to the fish. But and this one's a whole other one, and then I just moved over, so I'll get back to that when I move the Q-snap. I apologize for the binging of my computer. I could stop and turn it off, but that might be more effort than it's worth. So, and I might need to look it up because I do have stuff. So this is on, oh, by the way, I have notes today. Yay, I actually got myself organized. This is on 32 count color and cotton succulent. So, not sure why there's a purple thread hanging off. And this is housed in my Amazon plastic bag. It does the job. Yes, I still need to, I'm sorry for those of you who are wearing earbuds. I was not going to zip stuff. I've unzipped everything and I wasn't going to zip, but habit. I haven't put stickers on them and decorated. I have stickers sitting right here on my desk. Oh, and you can kind of see right back here. I don't know why I pointed this way. Right back here. This is Milo. This is the new one who is not a tiny puppy. He likes to lay up here now and look out the window. He has stopped eating my flosses, so that's a plus. So we're going to see if I can do all of this with him in the room. The door is shut. Buster is not inside the room. Both of them together. They've already been in here once today and caused chaos. So they had a wrestling match. All right, the next one, excuse me, goodness, I have been trying to lose my voice for about 3 days now. The next one is World of Disney 1. This is from ZAnna Cross Stitch on Etsy. The office was from Stitcharea on CrossStitch. So this is what World of Disney 1 will look like when it's done. And this is where it was the last time I showed you. And I did not fold this in a way that would be easy to show you, so I have to unfold it because this is a monster project. This is by far my biggest project. And it's 999 stitches wide by 700 and something tall, I think, something like that. It's going to be big. I'm not anywhere near that. I think I've done, maybe 150 stitches across and 200 down, maybe. But this is where it is. This is on 32 count easy grid, and I'm stitching it 1/1. And so I was doing Royal Rose. I'm finishing up the threads from doing that, and now I've decided to color complete because I can't decide on what I want to do. This one I do have on Pattern Keeper, so color completing is easy. I like, I don't know, I like Royal Rose if it's a paper pattern, but for Pattern Keeper, I like being able to see it kind of come to life and not have all the dangly threads. I am, when I get to the bottom of a page, leaving the threads there till I get to the next page, because I'm going to color complete a page and then go to the next page. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to go across or continue to do the stair-step pages. I don't know. We'll see. I have a lot of time on this one left to put in, so we'll see. But it's looking really good. I haven't done any of the backstitch. I'll probably go back and do all of that at the end. Backstitch is not, it doesn't show up on Pattern Keeper, so it's really hard for me to keep up with the backstitch when I'm using a Pattern Keeper pattern. If it's a paper pattern, I'll keep up with the backstitch, but not on Pattern Keeper. So my next one is in a stitch and button bag, a patriotic American flag and hearts and bag, and I'm using this to not do a USA themed project. This is Reflections of Norway from Ink Circles, and this is what it's going to look like. And I'm sorry, but for the glare, but I'm not taking it out of the plastic because it's hard to put back in and it's noisy. I am at least 25% Norwegian. My grandfather came to America from Norway, so I very much claim my Norwegian heritage. So Vikings and longboats and all of that. So I'm excited to do this. I am not doing this on the called for, and I'm not using the called for threads. The Norwegian flag is red and white and blue. I know it's red and blue. I think the third color is white, but it may just be red and blue. But I know it's red and blue. So I'm doing it on 32 count Rubious from Picture This Plus, and I am using Threadworks number 1021, which is this really pretty variegated blue. So it looks like the colors kind of the Norwegian flag. No, I don't iron anything before I share it. I'm sorry, but that's just not who I am. I don't iron clothes if I can help it. The dryer is my iron. If something is wrinkly, I will throw it back in the dryer for about 5 minutes and hope that it gets all the wrinkles out. I have more important things to do, like cross stitch, than iron. I could be spending that time stitching. So this is where it is. I absolutely love the colors. I love it on the red. I just love everything about it. So that is Reflections of Norway. And here is what my hot mess of thread looks like. But you can see it's very variegated. It's really pretty, but it's a hot mess of thread. No, that's not how it came. However, it came out of the thing, and I haven't put it on a floss tag because I just haven't. So it just looks like that. Maybe I'll get my act together and get it into something pretty looking. Alright, the next one is in a So Much to Love bag with these beautiful peacock colors. The flowers that are all blues and teals and purples. Love it, love it, love it. With her signature felt heart on the zipper pull. And this is Pandemic from Long Dog Sampler. Here is what it will look like when I'm done. Kind of what it will look like because I'm not using that colorway. And here is where it was the last time I shared it. I used this over the 24 hours of cross stitch weekend. I did not get 24 hours, I got 19, but I got a lot accomplished. And I am using a palette of DMCs that I found on using stitchpalettes.com, and it is DMC 348, 924, 3809, sorry, not 348, 3848, 92, 924, wow, numbers, 3809, 3849, 3810, and 3750. And here is what it looks like. And I need to pull this out so it's not all wrinkly right there. But I've gone almost all the way across the top. I think there's just a tiny bit left over here before I reach the edge. All of the birds and animals are in 950, I believe. Not 950, 3750. 950 wasn't even a number that I gave you. And then I'm just picking another color for each of the different motifs and different, even some of the motifs I'm using a couple of colors, but they're all teals and blues. And this is on 40 count Weeks Dye Works Angel Hair. When I shared this last time, I couldn't remember if it was Weeks Dye Works or not. It is Weeks Dye Works and it is Angel Hair. And I'm trying to put stuff back in the bags as much as possible so that Milo will leave them alone. He's being really good. He's trying to figure out who I'm talking to. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. He is a sweet boy. He is a love bug. But he also has, so we think he has a little bit of ADHD, because when he gets a thought in his head, like go get the squirrel, He does not think twice of whether or not that means jump over the fence to get the squirrel or jump onto the camper. We have a pop-up camper in the backyard. He jumps on top of the pop-up camper to get to the squirrels. He doesn't think twice about that. So we're working on training. It's a work in progress. The next one is Shades of Autumn, and this is from Just Cross Stitch magazine from October 2017. Here is what it's going to look like when it's done. And here is where it was the last time I showed you. And this is on 32 count color and cotton Monster Mash. And this is intense stitching. It's only when, you know how, you may know, Just Cross Stitch magazine, when it has the pattern, it'll tell you like if it's intermediate, beginner, advanced, so on. So this is, I want to say it says it's advanced. Yes, it is skill level advanced. There are no specialty stitches. Now it does call for specialty fibers, but I'm using plain DMC, but I think it's advanced because of all the stitching. This is dense. I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way down, and this is a lot of stitching so far. But I love it. I love these colors, these autumnal colors on this purple fabric. Just, oh my gracious. It looks like fall to me. It just does. So, Milo has decided to come over here now, and we will hope that I can keep floss and things away from him. Now he's at the door, so if I have to pause, it's because he's going to start getting crazy and wanting to go out of the door. And there we go. I'll be right back. Alright, so Milo has gone to go find his friend Buster. Hopefully they will not come back up here to visit with us, because I don't want them both in here while I'm trying to film this, because I'm chaotic on my own. I don't need their help. Alright, the next one is Flosstube Friends, and I am doing this with a few Flosstube friends of mine. Hannah Dowling from Hannah Dowling. Corinne and Colleen from Grace Notes Fabrics, Grace Notes Stitchers on Flosstube. And I cannot remember the name of the other two. Hannah Dowling has coordinated this, and these are all Flosstube friends of hers. I know her, and I know Corinne and Colleen. I don't really know the other two ladies, but I'm excited to get to know them while we're doing this. We started this in January. The first person was called. So this is a not so round robin. We're not sharing our pieces as far as like sending it from one person to another. So what we're doing is, I thought I had unzipped everything. I'm so sorry. So here is what it looks like. This is the cover photo. And you see there's 6 people. And so what we're going to do is every 2 months, Hannah is going to spin the wheel, and whoever is called gets to choose which person they want to be, and which color they want their dress to be, what color they want their dress to be. So Corinne was the first person called for January and February, and she chose this lady right here, and her color was purple. So I started right before January, at the end of December, I started working on the border so I could have at least part of this across and over so that I could count to whichever person Corinne called. So I have gotten about this much of the border and some of Flosstube, the word Flosstube done, so I could get to her. So I've started on her. I am not using anything called for. Not fabric, not flosses, not anything. So this is where it was the last time I showed you. And this is from October House Fiber Arts, and I'm stitching it on 32 count color and cotton Ophelia. And this is where it is now. I've finished, like I said, most of the word Flosstube. And look at her with her purple. Let me see if this will give you more of a purple. You can see, there we go. I'm using a Weeks Dye Works for the purple, And then my accent color, and the lighting in here is terrible, but the accent is teal because I'm hoping to use teal as the accent with all of the people. It will kind of depend on what colors they choose, because teal goes with most colors, but there might be a color that somebody might choose that teal's not going to look great with, and then I'll have to make a call on what I want the accent color to be. But I kind of want the teal to be my, like, thread that goes through all of the 6 people. So this is Corinne so far, and she has dark hair, so I used a brown, a variegated brown. Hannah will be calling the next person at the end of February, so my goal is to finish her and to get the rest of the border done by the end of February. We shall see. And my last whip is Cardinal in the Snow, and this is from Cross Stitch on Etsy. I don't think she has this pattern in her store anymore, but you can always email her and ask about it. One of my daughters gave this to me as a gift for Mother's Day several years ago, in 2020 maybe, so, or maybe 2019. I'm not sure. So this is what it's going to look like. And I absolutely love just the red, vibrant bird with the snowy background. I'm not anywhere near the bird. Here's where I was the last time I showed you. And here's where I am now. I have done this page. Well, I have not done this page. I have started working on this page, and I am doing color completing, kind of color completing. So I go across the top. This is a paper pattern that I'm not doing Royal Rose on because I don't know. I can't choose just one thing. Each of my full coverages, I use a different method. So for this one, I go across the top of a page. I pick the first color and I stitch until I run out of that thread. And then I pick the next color across that hasn't been stitched yet, and I stitch that down through the page until I run out of that thread. So for some of them, there's not a lot of that color, so I can go all the way down the page. For like a couple of these colors, they're very dense through here, so that's as far as I got. So, but this is my Cardinal in the Snow, and this is on 28 count easy grid, and I'm stitching that 1 over 1. So those are my whips. So now what? Now we have my January wrap up, and I'm going to put these back over here so that they are, if puppies decide to come back in, they're not within reach, easy reach. Milo's big. He could probably reach anything in here if he really put his mind to it, but it'll be a little bit harder for him to get to. Okay, so January wrap up. In January, I stitched on 12 different projects. Hold on just a moment. Okay, we are back. It was just Milo, and he wanted to come look out the window, so he's in here again, but it's just him. So in January, I stitched on 12 different projects, and I did a total of 10,579 stitches. That sounds like a lot. I'm not really sure how I got all of those done, especially because so far in February, yeah, I'm not going to even reach a portion of that number for February. I realize it's a shorter month. I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace on that, but even so, yeah, it's not going to happen. So that was my January. I finished both of my Whip Go goals for January. So, yay me. So far, so good. We're 1 month in, and I'm doing great. Let's look at plans for February then. Okay, so February, I've shared before that I'm going to start 1 project a month, at least. I have 1 planned project to start each month. And then if another project decides to pull at my heartstrings to start it, then I will add that. But in February, I'm only planning on starting 1, and it is going to be Petite Rainbow Row from CW Designs. And it's not too bad of a glare. So I live in South Carolina. I live up in the PD area, which is near Myrtle Beach. I do not live near Charleston. I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Charleston. However, when I was in high school, I did a summer in Charleston at the College of Charleston, and I took a class in Charleston architecture. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating information. So Rainbow Row has a huge piece of my heart, a huge piece of memories from that summer living in Charleston and studying Charleston architecture. So I can't wait to start this. It is, for all intents and purposes, this looks fairly full coverage. Like this is all solid stitching. The outside, obviously the border around the houses is not. So question for you, would you consider this a full coverage piece? I don't know if I should consider it a full coverage piece. My focus, the reason I'm asking that is I am trying to focus on full coverage February. Am I only doing full coverage in February? No, because Flosstube Friends is not full coverage and it needs to get some work done on it. Also, one of my Whip Go calls for February is Royal Nutcrackers. Also not full coverage, and it needs to get worked on. But for the most part, I am only focusing on full coverage pieces in February, which is why I chose this to start this month. Because in my mind, this looks full coverage to me, because there's a lot of stitching. And it's dense. And there's not, like, once you start into the picture, there's not fabric showing through. It's just the fabric on the outside. So that is the plan. The other Whip Go call that was called this month was Cardinal in the Snow. So my goal is to get 500 stitches on that. Actually, I'm planning, that's my Whip Go goal, but I am planning on getting much more than that in, because I'd like to get probably like 3,000 for some other challenges that I'm doing in some other groups. I would like to get about 3,000 in Cardinal in the Snow. I'd also like to make a dent in that because it is my second oldest project and it looks sad. I think I'm on page 3, maybe page 4, but not far into it. And it's, like I said, it's my second oldest project, and I'd like to get a little bit further with that. So those are my plans. So if you are only here for the cross stitch, thank you for coming, and hopefully I'll see you again in 2 weeks. If you are here and still interested and want to hear about life stuff, I've kind of given a little bit, didn't mean to give as much as I did, but work's been busy. Extracurriculars have also been very busy. Like I mentioned, my daughter's wrestling. She's had wrestling matches. She's had a lot of wrestling matches. Last weekend, they wrestled for the region title. So there's 6 teams in our region, so they had to wrestle each team of the other 5 one time on Saturday. So that was a very long day because you have 14 weight classes. Each weight class had to wrestle. So they wrestled team 1. All 14 weight classes had to wrestle. Then they went to team 2, all 14. So they wrestled 5 different times, 14 weight classes. And my daughter she wrestled 1 time, and then the other 2 times she got to go out because there wasn't a person in her weight class for that school, so she got a forfeit win. So I went because she was going to wrestle. And I stayed the whole day. It was long, so I was so glad I brought cross stitch because while wrestling is fun to watch, I don't know a lot about it, and if it wasn't her, not that I didn't care, because the kids on her team, they're great kids, but it's not as interesting to me. So I did a lot of cross stitching while they were wrestling or in between matches because they did have some downtime in between, and I worked on the office. So I was at that. So they won region, and that was Saturday. So then this Saturday, yesterday, they had the first round of the playoffs, which they had a bye because they won their region. So they didn't have to wrestle that one. So then they had the second round of the playoffs right after the first round that they did have to wrestle, and they won that. So the third round is tomorrow. The fourth round, if they win, will be Wednesday. And the state championship meet will be Saturday. So that is a lot of wrestling in just a short little period of time. She's probably not wrestling this week because girls wrestling is not sanctioned in South Carolina. So if the girls wrestle, they wrestle co-ed. for region and for teams. However, they're sanctioning it next year. So for this year, they're doing a girls' state championship match at the end of February for just the girls. So she's still working and practicing and training so that she can compete in that. So I'm very excited. That'll be the very last weekend of February. So you'll see me again between now and then I'm sure I'll talk about it a little bit more then. Let's see what else has been going on. I mentioned last time, or a couple of times ago, cars. We've had car issues galore. So my husband's car died in December. No, in November my husband's car died. He ended up buying a new truck in January because the repair shop told him it was going to take 3 to 6 months for them to get the part for his car. Well, he can't go 3 to 6 months without a car. So that car is still sitting in the shop. Once that part comes in, we will get it fixed and probably give it to one of the girls to learn how to drive because it is a manual. So they're going to have to learn how to drive a stick shift. So he bought a new truck. My car was in the shop because I hit a deer back in October. They couldn't get the part for it until December. So my car went in the shop the end of December and then was in there for, they told me it would take about 4 business days. Yeah, it took about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of it being in the shop. Much more than 4 business days. So we were without my car. I rented a car for that time because I thought it was only going to be like a week. It ended up being 3 weeks. So I rented a car. Then this past week, finally got all my car back. My husband had his truck. The girl's car was doing okay. It's an older car, so we know it's got some issues, but it was doing okay. Yeah, so my daughter who's in college calls me the other night and she goes, Mom, I am on the side of the road and the car won't. It just died. It died while I was driving. I was able to get it to go to the side of the road, but I'm here waiting for a tow truck. I'm not going to let my 20-year-old daughter just sit on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck. So I went and waited with her. We got it fixed. So that was the alternator. So I'm done getting cars fixed. But it is fixed now. She had it. She got it back Friday. But y'all, I don't know what it is. I have no luck with cars and I cannot catch a break. So if y'all are praying people, send up a little prayer that our cars will not break down again for a while because I just can't. I just can't. So that's been life. Things have been busy but good. Everybody here is good. We've been healthy for the most part. I know there's a lot of sickness going around. We've managed to avoid it, so hopefully that will continue. The next couple of weeks are looking fairly calm other than wrestling stuff. In March, my child who is a senior in high school who runs track and cross country, she is going to an indoor track meet in Boston. So, and I get to go with her because she can't go by herself. She's only 18, so I'm going with her. If you are familiar with the Boston area, because we've never been, if you have some suggestions for what we should do while we're there, because she competes on Saturday, we're going to fly in on Thursday, so we'll have all day on all day on Friday, and then after she's done running on Saturday to do stuff, go visit places. She has celiac, so if you know of some good gluten-free places in Boston, mention them below in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. I can eat anything, so I'm good. I'm good wherever we go. But if you know of some places that have good gluten-free options, because that is a huge, huge thing for us when we have to go travel places, is finding places where she can eat. But we're looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. I'm hoping it won't be too terribly cold. I know Boston in March, the beginning of March, is still cold. So maybe I'll get lucky and it won't be terribly cold. But so we're looking forward to that. Until next time, y'all, stay happy, stay healthy, keep stitching. Bye.